Leon Kahane, welcome.
Thank you.
We just decided to do this in English too. So Leon's work is downstairs in the exhibition hall, and it's a large carpet that has a word written on it. Can you explain a bit about it?
Yes, so the carpet in this work serves, in this particular case, more as a display situation. That's why the carpet is slightly tilted, and it's very big, unusually big. And the word says in German ewig, which means ever. And this word will be written with a stick once a week into the carpet. Afterwards, after a week, it will be erased again with a vacuum cleaner, and then it will be rewritten with a stick. And I took this word, which sounds not very suspicious, and it is not suspicious, obviously, in the first moment, from a book which is called Lingua Tertia Imperi. It's a book by Victor Klemperer. He wrote this book after the Second World War, and he wrote about the transformation of language in the time of the Second World War. What he described was how the Nazis and, let's say, intellectual right-wing thinkers who laid the basis for the cultural idea of the Nazis, or like their cultural understanding, their own mythology, how they used language to make it actually possible to implement this whole Nazi ideology. And the word ewig plays a very particular role because it has this time implication into an idea of culture, and it sets time. It has like it is supposed to lock culture at a certain point. You define it like the Nazis defined it by burning books, by making an exhibition what is entartet as art, and which you exclude. And then at this point you say, this defines our culture, and this will last for the next 1,000 years, because we are at the peak of whatever evolution, cultural evolution or whatever. And to counter this, I also have a personal connection to this piece. Victor Klemperer, my grandmother, she was in the Resistance. She survived the Holocaust in France and joined the Resistance. And Victor Klemperer, she was his only surviving family member after Second World War. He could survive in Germany because short before the Second World War, he converted to Protestantism, and this is how he more or less survived in a pretty bad state, though, the time of the Nazi regime. Why I chose to make this work now was because you can see also nowadays how right-wing movements, I mean, let's not just say right-wing, let's say totalitarian ideas or totalitarian constructions of thinking or of culture, or like politically totalitarian ideas. They tend always to refer strongly to culture. So if you talk about FPÖ now, as we are in Austria, or AfD in Germany, it doesn't take a very long time until they start to talk about the abuse of language by people who speak too much English or use too many English words, or how theater is not reflecting enough on German tradition, culture, ideas, whatsoever. What we have now a lot is tendencies of strong identitarian political movements, and unfortunately, you don't have this just on the right. You also have this on an extreme left-wing side. It happens in many ideological frameworks, let's say. And this is why I was choosing, why I choose this to show this work now. And when I thought about the display, I thought the carpet would actually do quite well, because the carpet is in many different directions a strongly cultural connotated object. If you talk about, from now you could think about some very bourgeois living ideas, or like the salon or whatever, but on the other hand you could also think about like very nativist or native ideas, where people used carpets to transport cultural messages, to even build houses or like tents and whatever. And so culture is something that always has to be somehow moving, floating, changing, and it always will. And whenever, and this is why this inscription will always be erased, and this is why the word always proclaims that it can't be erased, so that it is not erasable, because it is forever, it is like ewig. It has this like time implication. And yeah, this is why carpet, this word, and on the other hand, the carpet was supposed to be a display, so it's, you know, it's not straight. It doesn't really function as a carpet. It functions more like a, let's say, like a film, you know, like a film, like a negative film, or like in this case a positive film, though. Yes, this was the idea behind the work, basically.
Okay. We don't have much time left,
Okay.
unfortunately,
No
but
problem.
one more question. Would you describe your artistic practice as a political? And if so, what would this political be?
I consider art as something very political, but not in the way of, I mean, I don't consider myself an activist or something, and I take art very, very serious. So, and I'm a big believer in abstraction and in really like, oh, that sounds weird, but the beauty of art or whatever. But it is easily abused by political ideas, and it has like a very strong political power, and it should also always trust in its political power. But I mean, of course, it's not politics, it's still art. But as I said, I think it's very important to say that political ideas often, I mean, that there's some, it's like interlocked somehow, you know, it's like part of a society, art, politics, that's something that has to be with exchange, debates, and so on. So I think it always depends, and you know, so. What was the question? If I'm a political artist, I mean, I think very political, but I guess that everyone does that. So, you know, so I don't know. Yes, no.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.